Hello, and welcome to the Venture Development Podcast, where we interview leaders and entrepreneurs throughout the beautiful Space Coast. I am your host, Jamie Freisen, and this podcast was spun from my desire to be an entrepreneur. As someone who hopes to develop something meaningful one day, I wanted to learn directly from someone else who already has taken that leap. Every successful business starts with an idea. Today, we are taking that journey through the story of Cosmos Ice Cream and its founder, Miss Tanisha Davis. Her business has become more than just a place for dessert. It is a part of the community. What I want to know today, when did she realize it was more than just a dream?
First of all, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. I will tell you, I always knew that I wanted to do something extra. I didn't know what it was, but I just always wanted to do something. At the time, my youngest son was in culinary school. And so because he was in culinary school, I was like, what's he going to do when he's done? So I had a Food Truck for Dummies book on my bed for like a year. And I was like, I have no idea how to start this. Like, I don't know the first thing, what am I going to do? So I just finished like one of my daily devotionals and I went on Craigslist. I saw that they had Cosmos ice cream for sale. So when I saw it, I said, let me just reach out. So I reached out to the owners, and when I saw the astronaut and the space thing, I said, no, this astronaut needs to be on the Space Coast. Cosmos is the ice cream party bus because it is a 40-foot double-decker ice cream truck. It does not need to be in Miami. So I contacted, I talked to my family. I was like, hey, I think I want to do this. And so again, not knowing the first thing, liquid nitrogen ice cream, double decker, I have to have a CDL, all of this. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm gonna try it. So it ended up getting it. I talked to the owners. What they told me inspired me. They said that they were using Cosmos as giving young people their first job. And so I thought, I was like, because you have to worry about where am I gonna get employees from. Right. So that's what I did. So I knew I had neighbors down here who were in high school. And so I asked them if they wanted them and their friends to work. And that's how I started. I had high schoolers working for me.
So you talked about you had high schoolers that you had in the neighborhood. My question to you next would be, what opportunities did you see in the community that made you believe that Cosmos Ice Cream could be successful, especially with competing with Baskin Robbins and all these other popular ice cream shops? Like, how did you know yours would be different?
First of all, it was mobile. And then I dubbed it as the ice cream party bus because it is a 40-foot double-decker ice cream truck. So it's a party on wheels. We are making the ice cream in front of you so you get to see a show. What set us apart and how I figured it would be something good is because there was no other liquid nitrogen shop. When we were going to go get liquid nitrogen ice cream, we would have to travel over to Orlando. So now here we are, and then we're able to go to wherever you are, right? And so I did vegan ice cream. I also do sorbet, and then I would have just regular ice cream. A lot of my flavors were gluten and dairy free.
So you've gained a competitive advantage with that by offering gluten-free and different options. That's awesome. Okay, so opening any business, there are inherent risks within that. So what do you think your biggest risks were when you decided to open Cosmos Ice Cream?
The unknown. So I would say I didn't know how to get into events. I didn't know because my day job had nothing to do with food. So I didn't know I had to take the food course. I'm a prior Air Force, so I'm a veteran.
Thank you for your service. Absolutely.
I was a cook in the Air Force. So I knew about food handling and all of that, but to be out there like in the food truck industry, no clue what I was doing.
Oh, wow.
And then I didn't just get a small little bus where you could just go, a small venue. I bought a 40-foot double-decker.
Yeah, you were going for the big.
So it's not like I'm going through the neighborhoods, ice cream man is
right.
here.
No, it's not that.
Part.
Right.
Got this thing out. That was a big risk. And then I would just say that whole thing, that was my risk, the unknown, just not knowing what to do.
And that's a fair assessment. But I would argue that you did have some of the fundamental tools by the service and some of the things that they taught you. So
that's true. Yeah, I need to look at it like that. Give myself a little credit.
So you also mentioned that you, at the time, you had a full-time job. Are you still currently working full-time?
I am.
Can you tell me about that?
Sure. So I started Cosmos in 2018. And then we had our first event in February of 2019. So we were able to get through the year, great year, and then COVID hit. So I was super thankful that I still kept my full-time job, because I was like, depending on how this goes, I'll know if I want to quit my job or not. My son, he was able to do most of what I needed to be done. So that's why I could still work, because if I needed, for inventories, for deliveries, all of that, he was able to do that.
Oh, perfect.
Preps and things like that. So that was why it was easy for me to keep my full-time job.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's perfect, because you talked about your son being able to assist you, and we know how important it is, a great team. So can you elaborate more on how you built your team, what you look for in the qualities of team members?
Okay. So family-run business, right?
Okay.
That's what we started out as. It is a very true statement that it's hard to work with family. And I don't say that in a negative way. I say it in a way of, we all know each other, right? So we know the ups, the downs, the goods, the bads. And so it's easy. And then, like I said, we had the high schoolers. So we got a lot of kids, local high school kids from Rockledge High. So they would tell their friends about it. And that's how it was spread the word. And here's the deal. I knew it was going to be a revolving door. So I didn't go in it thinking I'm going to have these students forever. I thought it was great, because I would bring them in. They would learn. And it was hard work. It would be a total of about between 6 to 9 of us on the bus at any given time.
Oh, wow.
Because we had 4 mixers, and we were making everything from scratch. We had a dishwasher, so having to have them work in a fast-paced environment, because we would have lines. And when I first started, because again, I didn't really understand, and I'm making each one from scratch, having 15 different flavors. I had 20 different toppings, and people are waiting like 45 minutes for ice cream.
Well, that was telling of how great the ice cream is. So that's a good thing. High demand is definitely good.
Yeah.
So you said you're family owned, but within any business, there's still a organizational culture, right? And especially with some of the high schoolers, what do you think that culture was that you were able to establish?
It was a learning culture for all of us. And then it was a customer service. So it had to be an inclusive culture. So we would do events that required us to be inclusive. It required us to be accepting of everyone, right? A lot of times when you deal with teenagers, things are funny that probably aren't funny.
Right.
And you're trying to teach them. It was, hey, okay, I need you to make sure you're paying attention. I know you have your friends coming up as well. I need you to still, be on top of it.
So tell me a little bit more about your leadership style.
I was a helicopter leader.
Okay.
Only because we had to, like when we were sending things out, people were taking pictures of the ice cream. So this was your brand.
Oh, got it. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so I had to show them and had to teach them, hey, this is our brand. So, you're wearing this shirt and people are posting this and they're tagging. So you want to make sure when you see that, like, you know what, I did that. That was my whipped cream. And then eventually, from being a helicopter leader, I became more of a delegate. I stepped back because I allowed them the opportunity. I started encouraging and giving more responsibility to our senior ones who have been there.
You mentioned how the lines would be, wrapped around the corner pretty long. How do you know what your customers want? What is distinctively different about Cosmos that brings them back, that makes them want to stay in line for 30 minutes for ice cream? What do you think that is?
The product. The ice cream was good. So before I was the owner, I was a customer. I went to Miami a couple of times and purchased the ice cream, and I'm gonna tell you, it was good ice cream. when you freeze it with liquid nitrogen, it freezes quickly, so that way you don't get up the water molecules in it, so it's way creamier than the average ice cream. We were making unique flavors. One of our famous ones called the Cosmic Unicorn, and that was what we just did. Rainbow ice cream would do like different food coloring, and then put whipped cream, glitter, a little mini cone, and a cherry on top.
That sounds amazing. Can you explain to me how you adapted to COVID and different restrictions during that time? I'm sure that impacted you somehow.
It did. So when we opened back up, of course, we couldn't have people waiting in line that long. So what we started doing was preparing the ice cream ahead of time. So whatever we would have those flavors, and we limited the flavors, the 20 flavors we had, we would go ahead and let them pick from the 5 flavors, and then they could add whatever toppings they want. And then from that, we started making more of the specialty flavors, the Neutron, Dose Liftoff, Green Martian, things of that nature. So we pre-prep, and then that way all they had to do was scoop it and give it to us. And then that's the thing, and it never compromised the flavor.
I know you said you work with high schoolers. Do you do any kind of business with the local schools or different events? Or Space Coast has a very huge, you have NASA and all these different places, SpaceX, all these different organizations. So do you get an opportunity to work with any of them?
I do. So we do offer private events.
Oh.
And honestly, that's really what has saved the business, because of course, like I said, I still work, and due to the economy and, you know, things being up in the air, when we're doing the big festivals, we weren't getting the turnouts like we used to, right? So our bottom line wasn't as good as it used to be. So because we do the private catering events, that's really what saved us. If it was something that I couldn't do, I would send it over to a different ice cream company.
So let's talk about that a little bit more. So that builds a little bit more relationships with companies who would be considered a competitor, but yet you chose to, give them business opportunities. So I don't think I've ever seen that before. Tell me about that. What sparked you to do that?
I understand their desserts aren't as popular. Like on the weekends, they're popular, but like during the week, the food trucks are able to come out for lunches during the week. Dessert vendors don't get that opportunity. So if someone wants to have a dessert vendor and I can't do it, I definitely want to make sure I have a group of vendors, and we meet each other when we're out here doing these events. So that's how I'm able to pass off events to other people.
So what does it mean to you when your customers choose you versus another company?
That speaks volumes. I have had customers who will, they'll find us, like they'll look for us. And that lets me know that even though we couldn't do the business model that we started with when we first opened up, and we changed up, and now we're having the pre-made ice cream.
Right.
That didn't change the taste of it. It didn't compromise it. And you're still coming to us. That means everything.
So looking back to when you initially decided to become an entrepreneur, what was a skill that you didn't fully appreciate that now, having the business for several years, that you appreciate?
I can say my persistence, because and the ability to adapt to change. It affected so many people, right? And in so many ways. And at that time, I had an ice cream shop as well, but the shop was just for me. It was my commercial kitchen.
Oh, okay.
So I opened it up, right? Because at that time, when I first started, I had like 4 different locations. I had where I parked the bus, I had my commercial kitchen, I had my business office, and then I also had a storage facility. Did not know at that time that shop was because you could either open it up as a no-seat restaurant or as a full-blown restaurant. So I did just a no-seat restaurant. During that time when we were shut down, I was able to be on DoorDash, and for people to be able to make, to put their orders in, and then I could send it out. So that was how I was able to sustain, how adapting it. Had no idea that was even an option. It's just not anything. My whole thing was just, hey, I'm tired of going to 4 different spots. And me consolidated.
All right. So can you talk to me a little bit more about the vision for the future of your business? What do you think in 10 years, maybe 5 to 10 years, what you see for that business?
So I've already gone through, and I have the business trademarked. So the goal is to franchise it. I need to just settle in, but I want to make sure I'm not moving too quickly. And so I want to make sure that when we do something like this, it's never going to be a perfect time, right? You just got to strike out, and you don't know what. I'm a firm believer that whatever God has for me is going to be for me. I am right now. I'm just kind of waiting it out, but I do have the trademark and getting myself prepared so that I can purchase some more buses, and then get them retrofitted, and then we can have them, because Florida is a perfect place. I love the Cosmos in California.
Okay, so you mentioned risk, right? There's external risk, internal risk. How do you really deal with taking risk? I think you answered it a little bit when you said what God has for you is for you, but is there any kind of strategy that you may have to say, okay, well, this is too much of a risk? Expound on how you take risk.
I am cautious. I will research it myself. I guess I should have started with this. Prayer is my number one. And I move. If God say no, not right now, I'm not moving. But and I have done things like this whole thing. I was like, but I had such a sense of peace, and I knew that God had spoken to me about this. It's just my faith. I would just call it faith. Yeah.
Okay, so many businesses, they have an opportunity to grow through mergers and acquisitions. So while others just grow organically. If Cosmos had the opportunity to acquire another dessert shop or merge or do some kind of acquisitions with another local business, do you think that's something you can see for Cosmos?
I could definitely see that. Yeah, I think that would be fantastic. We're here on the Space Coast. I'll never forget, we were probably like a couple of months in, and there was a launch. We were down in Cape Canaveral. We were doing an event that night, and there was a launch.
Okay.
And so the people were upstairs, and they got to stay upstairs and watch the launch. So I would love to partner with somebody like a launch provider or something like that to be out there. And that way, when they're out there, they can be on the top of the bus and actually see the launches from in there enjoying ice cream. So yeah, I would love that.
That's
that
awesome.
Would be fantastic.
That'd definitely be something that you can do. Mm-hmm. Okay. Of my listeners, they are entrepreneurs, want to be entrepreneurs like yourself. Like I said earlier, this is what spawned my podcast, being able to interview people like yourself and others on the Space Coast. So my question to you is, what's one piece of advice you wish that someone had given you when you first started out that hopefully I can take with me?
Trust yourself. If you have put in the work, you know what you want to do, trust yourself. You're going to run into obstacles. It'll be, sometimes you have to get rid of the negative and the negativity, because you have a lot of, even close people, close people who are close to you, may not understand your vision, may not understand what God has placed in your heart to do. Trust God, whoever you believe, but just trust yourself. Believe in yourself. Know you can do it.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you for that.
Yes. Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Okay.
I mean, they're all learning opportunities.
Absolutely.
Right?
If you could create a flavor called entrepreneurship, what do you think would be in that?
Squishy, because that's lovable, right? Like you want to be approachable. Strong, because you're going to go through some things. Mm-hmm. At being an entrepreneur, you're going to go through some things.
Okay.
And then maybe, what is it, like bubble gum, because it's like a bounce back?
Oh yeah, flexible, right? Is what you're saying.
Flexible.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
I made one called Hubble Bubble, bubblegum ice cream, and it had gum balls in it. Mm-hmm. That would be it, because the bubblegum flavor, I mean, it's a pungent flavor, right? But it's a strong flavor. The gum balls, they're hard on the outside, but then they become soft.
Yeah.
Right? Put a little whipped cream on there and put some sprinkles on top.
Okay.
And the sprinkles are fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's do my Hubble Bubble. Like it.
All right. As we close today, I want to go ahead and thank Miss Tanisha Davis for giving me the opportunity to come and interview with you. I know a lot of my viewers are going to find some jewels from this, and I wish you the best. And I'm sure Cosmos will do a great job. So thanks again for the opportunity.
And thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And I wish you great success as well.
Thank you.
All right. I see it in you. I know whatever you put your hands to, it's going to be great.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Take care.